Welcome back to the show. Back to talk about bridges. And you're probably thinking to yourself, bridges, Derek, what are you talking about? Well, I think you'd be surprised at how many bridges you'll find in the Ottawa, Gatineau region. And my next guest was inspired by a canoe ride many, many years ago. I am joined by Adriana David. She is the author of a brand new book called Spanning Time, and her son, Nicholas Pedersen, who's the photographer. Welcome, Nicholas. Great to have you here. And you were just telling me it's been 11 years since you were last on the show. Yes.
I went from restaurateur, restaurant owner to author.
Yeah. So, okay, take me back to this time. I understand you were on a canoe trip along the Rideau Canal, right? You started in Kingston.
Right.
Why the fascination with bridges, like even during that period?
Well, during that period, it was just sort of a discovery of the waterways of our region, and we canoed, my ex-husband and I, and our little dog, Allie, hopped into a canoe and started in Kingston and canoed the entire Rideau waterway, which is 200 kilometers, and portaged every single one of the 24 lock stations. But what really struck me was, after having been sort of in the wild for all those days, you know, just paddling away, all of a sudden we're in downtown Ottawa. We're on the Rideau Canal, and we're back in civilization, and we're, you know, canoeing down the canal under all these bridges that just were so, just struck me as being, you know, an interesting architectural, you know, part of the city.
Right.
And then we ended up at the Chateau Laurier, and that was the end of our trip. Now, that happened 30 years ago, so just about. So really, the love for the bridges evolved more concretely, I would say, when I started training for marathons. And I was running through the city along the waterways and, you know, along the Rideau Canal and the Ottawa River and the Rideau River, all these beautiful pathways, and noticing the bridges from afar and running under them and over them. And all of a sudden, I'm like, you know what? There's something here. There's something very beautiful about them. And so
a lot of history, of course, right? Behind them. I mean, when Nicholas, your mom approaches you and said, "Hey, I've got an idea. We're going to do a book about bridges." I mean, what was going through your mind?
That's amazing. You know, like, it's so cool to see, like, my mom being in the same kind of creative headspace as me, where there's that desire to put into a tangible form something that you believe in and that you're passionate about.
Have you always been passionate about photography? This sort of a side gig, but I mean, something you obviously have loved to do, right?
Definitely. I think top of my priority list creatively is music. I make music, although just right under that is photography, I would say. And I've been interested in photography initially just as a hobby throughout high school, but I definitely grew into a passion.
And you did tons of research for this, Adriana. You have to tell me, you know, through your research, what's one of the more interesting stories that you came across when it comes to, you know, bridges in this region?
Oh boy, there are so many.
Yeah.
Every bridge really does tell a story. It's the history of our region, and they go, you know, way back. Many of the bridges were built at the turn of the century in the 1900s by the Dominion Bridge Company, which is still operational today.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Geez, one that really sticks out, I don't know why I always like this one, it's the Eiffel Tower Bridge, a little known bridge on the Gatineau side, and it crosses over Brewer's Creek, which is sort of like also known as the Montcalm Bridge, I guess.
Okay, I know which one you mean.
And it's a very ornate little bridge, but the reason it's called the Eiffel Tower Bridge is because when it was being built back in the mid-90s, the then mayor of Paris, Jacques Chirac, donated a part of the spiral staircase of the Eiffel Tower to the mayor of Gatineau, sort of symbolically union, you know, the union between France and French Quebec, and then. Yeah, it was just a really cool part of the bridge that was incorporated.
That is amazing. I had absolutely no idea. How many bridges are in this region in this book?
Well, the book has 44 bridges, which all span over the Ottawa River, the Gatineau River, the Rideau River, and the Rideau Canal.
You obviously have an eye, Nicholas. You know, I mean, photographers do, right? You know, going around and taking. Did you have a favorite that stood out to you?
I'd say, truthfully, my favorite is the Vimy Bridge, which is the one on the cover. Also, because there's a lot of nostalgic value attached to that for me. Because
sure.
My friends and I used to jump off that actually years ago.
Really?
Yeah, I did a front flip off that bridge. So it's got some good memories.
Not at the time, thankfully.
Not until half an hour ago. Yeah.
You've got a book signing coming up. Tell me about the book signing, where people can find you.
So our book signing will be at All Saints Event Space in Sandy Hill, a beautiful heritage building. And it's this Sunday, October 22nd from 3 to 5 p.m. Nico and I will be there signing, autographing books. And,
amazing.
And also want to say that our publisher, Ron Corbett, who's also got the
Ron.
forward
what
in here.
What a great guy, yeah.
Yeah, he's he owns Ottawa Press and Publishing, and he has done an amazing job of distributing the book to all local bookstores, including Chapters and Indigo, and it's also available on his website, Ottawa Press and Publishing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you both.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy that book signing. I know how special it is for authors and photographers. We'll be back with more Daytime right after this. Don't go anywhere.